my motivation got a kick in the ass yesterday. I was gearing up to do a whole video about something that I was very excited about because I finally had an idea for a bona fide, genuine scientific paper that there was a possibility that I could actually write. I actually did come up with a hypothesis, a way to test it. It was a hypothesis that was falsifiable. If I've got the idea of falsifiability right. A lot of times falsifiability is kind of like the word ironic. I don't know if I understand it. I'm not a scientist. I used to claim that I was, but I've had scientist friends point out to me that, Jack, you're not a scientist. So I maintain that I am a science enthusiast. And the paper, the name for the paper, A Proposal for Experimental Investigation of Possible Scopaethetic Signal Source. Scopaethesia, yeah? That's the word used for the, oftentimes, it's proposed as a psychic ability of people to, and animals, to know, other animals, right? To know when they are being observed, beyond their field of view, right? So there's, and the thing is, because there's the proposal that it is a psychic sense, there's a lot of opposition to this from the scientists, and so previously their experiments to supposedly investigate the validity or the truth behind professed experiences of people to know when they're being viewed from behind. They set up experiments that block all potential signal sources, and it's weird. It's like they'll put people behind walls and behind mirrors, one-way mirrors, so that no light's getting through. And it's like I don't know if anywhere along the way anybody suggested that even if it's a psychic sense, that psychic signals get through all barriers. I'm not suggesting any psychic nonsense, but the experiments are rigged. They're rigged. So it's kind of like once I brought up to a friend that, like, hey, I've noticed that if I take a can of seltzer water and I pour in a little bit of lemon juice, that oddly the seltzer water stays effervescent longer. They immediately said, no, we're going to test this. And I said, great. Their immediate thing was, oh, here's how we test it. We open 2 cans, you pour in lemon juice into one of them, a little bit of lemon juice into one of them, and then we leave the cans overnight. They were both flat in the morning. Yeah, after 8 hours. Yeah, I had no way of saying, listen, dumbass, I didn't say that it made them effervescent permanently. And at that point, they were just scoffing at me that if you're not writing shit down, you're just dicking around. That's not science. It's like, okay, man. Obviously, you check it every 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something. What kind of a rigged thing is to just wait until they're both flat and then to declare that, well, it doesn't work. My stated observation still stands, and I don't know if it's a change in pH, and actually I think that is it, pH, because it makes it more acidic, and somehow I don't know what it does. I'm not. This is not an observation by me alone in the 21st century. This is ever since people have been dicking around with effervescent water. Anyway, Scopaethesia. It's a long history I've got with this concept. Our friend shows me Terence McKenna. I'm into like mushrooms, DMT, so I'm listening to a lot of McKenna, and he mentions Rupert Sheldrake. Rupert Sheldrake will come up again later in this video. Rupert Sheldrake has this morphogenic field idea, and the very idea and the proposal that, like, this is an easy experiment to set up. That people consistently, this comes up a lot, that people maintain that they feel like they know when they're being viewed from behind, specifically outside of their normal range of vision. As it turns out, all of us light-sensing creatures, well, light's really handy, and so things that have things hunting them and things that are hunting, both of them have, it advantages them to know when things are watching them. Hold on. Accidentally dumped what is essentially a lifetime supply of blue food coloring into the booze capsule back there. get ready to let's get some booze here. So to start with, as a mixer, a little a Hello Kitty Ramune, because why not? Let's see. A little bit of the red, a little bit of see if I can. Oh, that's what yeah, I totally messed that up. Okay, so let's get a little blue, bloop, and ooh. Now that's already pleasing. That's not even anything I was trying to do. Just make a purple drink. No, not really. More, well, does have a deep blue ocean look. So I don't know. Get a little sharky ice cubes maybe. God. Not bad. Okay, so people report that they can. I really should start scripting things out, but I get so excited. McKenna mentions this idea of, well, you know, and sort of giving credence to stranger ideas, and kind of talking about how dismissive hard science folks are, and how strange the world actually is, and so it's hard to tell just where the flakiness is and where it isn't. He mentions a very simple experiment of like, well, you should be able to, you know, determine if people can actually tell if there's... and so the idea of the experiment is there. Rupert Sheldrake talks about it, and it just kind of rattles in my head a little bit. And years later, talking to a friend, and I'm mentioning to them that, like, my dad, when he would take me squirrel hunting, well, he started mentioning to me that there's a strange thing that you'll notice. That if you enter the forest with a gun, hey, fucking no squirrels, man. No squirrels. Takes a long time, right? You sit down and hunker down at the base of a tree, wait. And they'll start to peek out, and you're really cautious. But go into the same forest without a gun. And for fuck's sakes, the squirrels are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're if you sit down and take a break, they're nearly hopping over your leg. And his thing was that, like, they're not seeing the gun. They don't understand the gun. The humans are delivering death at a distance. They're not really, at least likely, not understanding it on that level. That's pretty abstract. What they're detecting is, and again, it's not vibes. it's not psychical energies. It's your countenance. You're coming into the forest, and you are spying things out. Your mannerisms, the way you're holding yourself, the way you're walking, you're stalking, you're hunting, and they're picking that up, and they'd better pick that up, because it's a life and fucking death game, and it's a game that I'm playing, and it's not a game to them. It's life and death. They need to be able to pick that up, and they do, man. And so the idea was, so how do you counter that? You have to try to dispel the air that you're hunting things, and still try to hunt them. And so I noticed from a distance, even so you're sitting at the base of a tree, quietly scanning, watching, making as little noise, a little movement as possible. Eventually they'll start coming out. And from a long distance away, I can see that they're kind of cagey. And I would notice that they seemed anxious in a way that reminded me of when people think that somebody's watching them, getting nervous. And I realized, okay, a lot of ideas over time compiling together. So predator and prey, right, in their eyeballs. A lot of them animals have this basic setup of you can kind of tell who are the predators, who are the prey, by where their eyes are located. So the prey species, their eyes start to like bend around their head, right? Evolving so that they can see around them. Because what they're looking for is things that are looking for them. And the things that are looking for them, well, they are using parallax, right? So their eyes have evolved to come straight forward so that they're in as much an equal flat plane, and it gives them the neat miracle of parallax, the processing of two images, almost like a little internal comperometer, right? To determine distance, to hunt in a 3D world, to hunt with 3D vision. Interestingly, again, the things that you're hunting, they ain't dumb. They can't afford to be. They need everything that they have. They can tell when you're looking at them, man. They can, and microscopically, so we're talking way far away, way up in a tree, far away, so you can see the thing. The squirrel's like, what the fuck? Because it can see that your eyes are focused on it. Yeah. And so I would experiment. Okay, I need to defocus. I need to defocus my eyes, so I'm not looking directly at the squirrel. And so now my eyes are focused. They're focused closer to me than at the squirrel, or further away from the squirrel. And and the squirrel relaxes, and it's because it's getting nervous, and oh, okay, apparently it's not looking directly at me, and it would relax. And it turns out that there's a lot of advice. Hunters and sharpshooters, snipers in war, there's a lot of advice of looking to the side and using your peripheral vision to monitor your target, because you give away your presence with your binocular focus. And so that makes a lot of sense, right? And it turns out that along with our pareidolia, if it's pareidolia, I mean, that sounds like two fancy tablecloths, right? Hey, Chuckles, bring over a pareidolia. Dumbest jokes. So, pareidolia is our tendency. It's not a tendency. It's a wet wiring like program. I like to think of software in the brain. I like to think of the things in the brain that are encapsulated, essentially programs, instead of calling them software, as we already have that for our technology, like wetware as a term. And so, not just a tendency. There are mechanisms in our brain to detect faces, because for a lot of good reasons, we're looking for faces. We're looking for faces for good reasons and bad, right? For things hunting us, and for things that are friend, foe, animal faces. We're looking for faces all the time. And so we tend to see, well, that pattern of faces, we'll see that in a jumble of brambles. We'll see that in clouds. We'll see that anywhere. And it turns out that, well, there's a nifty little mathematical weight. Where does your error lie, right? A false positive, right? Pareidolia. False positive. You're looking in the background foliage and you see a face. But no, it's not a face. Oh, it's just foliage. Whew. False positives end up supporting survival more than false negatives do, because a false negative is that you look in the background foliage and you think to yourself, oh, I'm not seeing a face, except there is a face there. Now, the people who are slightly paranoid and see faces where there aren't any, well, they will live longer and pass along their genes for paranoia than the relaxed folks who aren't as paranoid and don't see dangers where there are dangers. There's also another mechanism, niftily enough, that helps out with our peripheral vision. Within the field of view that your eyeballs are actually, getting information from the environment directly. We'll get to that. But it's something about the gaze of an observer, right? So if you're in a room and over here, there's somebody looking at you. People very often pick up on that. Peripheral gaze detection. There's kind of like the acknowledgement of the sciencey folks. We're like, well, sure, that, because that makes sense to them, right? Because there's still light they're dealing with. You're still dealing with stuff getting into the eye. Behind, they don't like. Because they haven't, for the longest time, their brains haven't been able to kind of conceive of a signal. Except for, and again, the signal that is suggested by the the flakier among us, is that, oh, it's a vibrational attunement, or it's something coming out of the mind. It's like, none of that holds up in laboratory tests very well. None of that holds up, and experientially for me either. I can't fail to notice that it doesn't really hold up. People don't seem to detect what I'm thinking, and I don't pick up on what they're thinking. So what is it? So what could it be? It was a couple years back that it started to form in my head that, like, wait a minute. So if they're able to detect the parallax binocular focus, but from behind, it suddenly started to hit me like, is it possible that there is something coming out of our eyes that another entity or another creature could detect? Again, I just had to kind of relegate it mostly to my own thoughts, but I did bring it up to a friend, so all of that. I'm pissed off because I just found a paper by Rupert Sheldrake that's... Today is October 26th. The paper says that it is published October 31st, 2023. What the motherfuck? I just found this yesterday. We'll get to this. This is irritating as all shit. Directional Scopaethesia and its implications for theories of vision is the name of the paper. I'm so mad, and kudos to Sheldrake. He's been harping about seeing observers being detected from behind forever. I'm glad he's progressed into something that is becoming more sensical to others. I'm just irritated that I finally had something that I thought I had an original idea. And, of course, Sheldrake with his morphogenic fields would just eat up the fact that I did, indeed, start talking about this to a friend a couple years back. I was thinking, okay, the eyes, maybe they're beaming something out. And I'm kind of a flake, too, so I'm always kind of like, because I don't reject things like, let's say levitation, right? So Superman, right? Oh, it kind of makes sense. He's flying because his brain is manipulating electromagnetic fields, right? Okay, sounds good. It doesn't really hold up to observation. And more importantly, again, I can't fail to notice that there's a lot of things flying, but apparently it was easier to evolve wings to get up off the forest floor than it is to levitate. So, I'm not dismissing levitation, but apparently levitation is difficult for all of us, bound by the tyranny of the rocket equation. Yes? Apparently it is easier here in this world to evolve wings than it is to use your mental powers to levitate. So, what could be coming out of the eyes? What could be coming out of the eyes? Well, and it hit me. Well, wait a minute. I've got a little. The eyes are a ball with a fucking hole in them, right? There's a light already going in there. Oh shit! Any light that escapes, right? Well, human eyes and a lot of other eyes are very testably, observably known that they can pick up as little as a single photon of light. Okay. Now, amazingly, you start looking up. I think I started to look up, light detectors that could pick up a photon. Well, light detectors are expensive. That's a pain in the ass. But then I started looking up. Surely somebody's been doing some work on this. What? There has to be. I was hoping that there was something that just showed and displayed light coming out of human eyeballs. And the initial contention in articles, and not scientific papers, but just the initial contention describing how the eyes use light, they describe that no light escapes. No light escapes. So light goes into the eyeball, and it is completely absorbed, and so apparently our eyeballs are little black holes. And sometimes those articles will describe, in the same paragraph, that the red eye effect in cameras is the light that is being flashed, bouncing off the retina and coming back to the camera. What do you mean no light escapes? Almost every stupid article that writes up about how no light escapes the human eyeball, they'll talk about the red eye effect and how that's God damn it. Okay, so light does escape. Not escape. but, you know, it bounces. Light bounces. Oh, does it bounce? So it suddenly hit me that there's no need for any kind of nonsensical fantasy psychic idea about what could be being emitted. We are emitting light right back. Okay, so imagine, is it possible that something's sneaking around that you're looking at? Can you imagine having a spotlight, the smallest, the dimmest of spotlights behind you, though? God. And again, the effect might be so subtle you're not picking it up consciously. It's just that something is like, Jesus Christ, it's the shadows. There would be a difference, right? A difference. And I can imagine, like, whoa, suddenly you're picking that up, and that should be so testable. Number one, try to determine, is there and how much light is being reflected out of the eyeball, and then, you know, how easy it is in different conditions, different indoor and outdoor, different lighting conditions, if it is at all possible to determine if people can, or animals, other animals, can detect if they're being viewed. And then, god damn, now this paper is not gonna convince a lot of hard science people, because it babbles on and on and on about consciousness and about, it's just silly goddamn nonsense. But at the very end, implication of the directional Scopaethesia means that people and animals detect not only that they are being stared at, but also the direction from which the look is coming. Because he's maintaining that he finds a overwhelming propensity of, not only do people, you know, when they think that there's somebody looking at them, boy, they look right back at where it's coming from. Now again, this is, you don't need psychic rays. You already got light rays, man. You already got light bouncing around. This has major implications for theories of vision because it implies a directional influence flowing out of the eyes in the opposite direction to the light moving in. The conventional assumption is that vision depends only on intromission, sending in of light, followed by the construction and representation. Scopaethesia implies that there is also an extramission, a sending out of the visual signals in the opposite direction to the incoming light, which should make me happy, because now I don't have to work on Scopaethesia. But anyway, Scopaethesia, I think, is the light coming out of our eyeballs, and especially must be prominent with animals that have the reflective surface on the inside of their eyeballs to help them see, right? To help them see at night and whatnot. They got extra flashlights beaming around. It just seems to make a lot of sense that what we're doing is detecting shifting light patterns that looks like somebody's behind us, flashing two little eyeball flashlights at us. But none of this is what this video is about. What the hell is this video about? You know, it might be about Scopaethesia. Oh, finally! I've had a few books up on Etsy for months now, or maybe not. But I think it's been like nearly 3 months. A book finally sold. A book finally sold. The Etsy shop is officially reborn. So there's that. Now, it is an extremely pregnant gibbous moon out right now, so I don't know how soon I'll be able to make another video. I've been telling you for a while now. I keep insisting that I'm not a werewolf, and I can't help but think that I have been doing you a great disservice in not first telling you that werewolves are liars. Terribly sorry. You have to understand, it's that time of the month. I mean, the aches and pains are one thing, but the cravings. Listen, you smell that? I think, is that a squirrel?